Doesn't matter how hard I work, I can't gain any size, can't get any muscle. I'm just getting taller and more skinny, getting picked on more and more, and my confidence is going down. At which point I graduate high school, nothing really changes, but I'm still going to the gym. I pursue a career in surgery. And while taking the courses I need for surgery, I got to learn about nutrition, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, every single thing that the body needs to create massive change. And the first person I tested on was me. So I did all the things I learned, but at the same time, I'm fresh into college. I'm like out on my own. So I start to discover alcohol and partying and treating my body poorly. And while I definitely gained some muscle, I gained a whole lot of fat. And in about a year and a half, I gained 80 pounds, and most of that was fat.
Welcome to another episode of the Matter Over Mind Experience. I'm your host, master trainer, and weight management expert, Narado Zeco Powell. And of course, I have another fantastic guest, right? Because your boy always delivers. And today, I have none other than Joe Hoye, the owner of Hoye Fit. But even more impressive, he's the host of the Midlife Makeover. Well, what is that, Zeco? Well, I will tell you. It's the largest summit to date for women in midlife and beyond. Now, why that may sound important, let me tell you. See, a lot of times when we get into midlife, hormones start to play a factor, right? And there's so many things that it's harder to lose weight. It's harder to manage your health. And when you have someone who's an expert and have worked with thousands upon thousands of people, he knows the things to look out for. So he can give you the answers to the questions that you didn't even know you have. And with that being said, let's welcome Joe to the show. Hey, my man, how you doing today?
I'm good, Zeco. Thank you. And man, that is a hell of an intro. Thank you. I hope I can live up to that.
I may not know everything in the world, but I do know how to introduce. I'll put it that way.
You're not wrong. I like that. That was good.
Well, but it's true. My audience knows. I bring on the best people. I'm very selective. And I'm glad you're on the show, my friend.
Me too. Happy to be here.
So let's jump into this puppy. So my first question is about inspiration. So what inspired you to create health coaching and a weight loss business specifically tailored for women in midlife and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's usually the elephant in the room of like, what is this 30-year-old guy doing helping women 40, 50, and 60 plus? And the sad thing is a lot of people will jump to the conclusion of like, oh, that's a really big industry. The kid probably just wants to make money. And it really couldn't be further from the truth. And it kind of starts when I was 13. So growing up, my mom was my strongest, most consistent role model all throughout my life. And at 13 years old, she realized I was starting to go down the wrong path. I was starting to hang with the wrong kids, do the wrong shit, and just make poor decisions. And she saw that and proactively was like, all right, buddy, I'm going to the gym tonight. Is your homework done? Did you eat dinner? Did you do all the chores? I was like, yep, it's done. She's like, great. I want you to come with me. And I said, yes. I was like, all right, Mom, I'd love to. Because at the time, even though I was starting to go down the wrong path, I was also starting to get picked on. I was pretty darn tall, super skinny, really unathletic, not good at school, had no confidence. And like the gym, in my mind, was the perfect place to reverse all that. So she dragged me in there. I fall in love with the gym. And that's really where my change of direction started to go. So number one, I want to give back to people like my mom, because if she didn't bring me there, people listening right now would never have heard of Joe Hoye and not be able to get the help that I hope I can provide. After that, I keep going to the gym until I'm 18 years old. Doesn't matter how hard I work. I can't gain any size, can't get any muscle. I'm just getting taller and more skinny, getting picked on more and more, and my confidence is going down. At which point I graduate high school, nothing really changes, but I'm still going to the gym. I pursue a career in surgery. And while taking the courses I need for surgery, I got to learn about nutrition, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, every single thing that the body needs to create massive change. And the first person I tested on was me. So I did all the things I learned, but at the same time, I'm fresh into college. I'm like out on my own. So I start to discover alcohol and partying and treating my body poorly. And while I definitely gained some muscle, I gained a whole lot of fat. And in about a year and a half, I gained 80 pounds, and most of that was fat. And so then I had a new problem. I still had no confidence, still not super great in school, definitely not athletic. But now instead of being skinny, I was just fat. And eventually I reined it all in. And I cut the drinking, cut the partying, started really taking care of my body. And that's when everything changed. I went from too skinny to overweight to then right in the middle of like keeping the muscle that I gained, losing the fat that I gained. I was shredded. I was confident. I was now athletic and felt great. People noticed because I grew up in a small town. They started to ask me, like, Joe, how did you do this? Like, I've seen you at all stages. I've never seen you like this. And enough people asked to where I was like, okay, I think I have something here, but there's too many people for me to help for free. So I'm going to start charging. And I start running these 8-week weight loss challenges online. Transparently, I thought I wanted to help people like me, just young guys feel good with their shirt off, whether they're overweight or underweight right now. And I start to get signups for this challenge I'm running, but I never looked at the names. And on Sunday morning of that first coaching call, when I opened up Zoom, I look back at all the faces staring at me. Nobody looked like me. They all looked like my mom. And I was like, well, what happened? Like, why did I get this crowd? And I think it's just because growing up, my mom was who I spent the most time with. She was my biggest role model. I spent time with her and her friends, and I learned to communicate in a way that resonated with them naturally. And so when I spoke, I drew that crowd in. And at the end of those first 8 weeks, everybody loved it. Like, I loved it and had fun. All the women had results. And I was like, you know what? This isn't what I was after, but it is what I like. So I'm going to keep doing it. And then fast forward again, I'm still coaching on the side, right? Because I'm not making enough money to like just do this. So I get my job in surgery, working in surgery. And I was not a surgeon, by the way. I was a surgical technologist. My job was to set up the OR before the doctor came in, get it ready for whatever case we needed. And then in my small hospital, also help during the procedure so that anything the doctor couldn't do with his or her two hands, I was there helping with. And again, like getting pushed in this direction, it was myself and 6 other women on the team of what I did specifically. And they thought it was a great idea to take the one man and stick him inside the OB and GYN based rooms. So then for the next 3.5 years, it's just me working alongside doctors that spent their entire career learning about the female body and what it needs for change and how to fix whatever is not working well. And so I take that and I'm proactively just asking them like, hey doc, what could this patient have done proactively in order to avoid being here? And so I start to gain this knowledge in my day job so that in my side hustle, I can start to help my clients better. And so that's kind of like the full 3-part story is number 1, I want to give back to my mom because I know that if I can change a mom's life, I'll change a son's life. Number 2, I resonate and have fun with these ladies and I want to do what I love to do. And number 3, I understand their body really freaking well. And so it all just kind of comes together naturally.
What I'm hearing is like a combination of passion and knowledge. And that just creates wisdom, right? Because you're so right. And I've worked with thousands of people over the years and worked with so many health professionals over the years. And, you know, the best individuals have that combination of passion and knowledge. I mean, and that works together well. And that brings so much to the table. So, Joe, thank you for saying that, which brings me to my next question. What unique insights and experiences have you gained? And top that with, what do you think other coaches tend to look over with this population?
Oh, I like that. I like that second question. So I'll address the first. The first thing I see is that the women we work with, they're 40, 50, 60 or older. They didn't just gain the weight last week or last year. They've had this weight since college, since they had kids, since their lifestyle changed. So that's been 5, 10, 15 years. And actually for a lot of them, their parents put them on a diet when they were teenagers. Not to be mean, but doing the best that they knew how to do. And so that created this massive problem throughout their entire adult life, both physically in their body because they're starving their body of what it needs, and mentally giving them this terrible food noise that we have to fix. And so right now, what I'm seeing from a lot of our ladies and a lot of our community is that they're eating the right amount of food to lose weight, but they're not losing weight because their metabolism is so run down and so stressed out and so exhausted that it can't pay attention to weight loss because it's doing all it can to simply keep up with day-to-day functions. And so before we ever dive into weight loss, we like to fix the lady's metabolism first. And to answer the second part of your question, what I just explained there is basically a reverse diet. Okay. And that's, to be honest with you, that's not something unique that we do. That's something that a lot of coaches in the industry do, but I'm going to challenge that they might not know how to do it right, because we understand that in order to get somebody from under eating back up to maintenance, they're going to have to look at what's called their TDEE, so their total daily energy expenditure, basically how many calories they're burning a day, just to simply maintain. But that's an equation. And a lot of coaches stop there. Like they'll put in a client's age, height, weight, gender, activity level, what they do for work. And they're like, okay, this must be how much this client needs to eat. We're going to get them there. We're going to stay. But they fail to forget that they just put it into a computer program, and that computer program is guessing. It's an educated guess, but it doesn't know, and they never challenge that. And so we separate because we like to challenge that information and see how far we can push it. Because if we can get a lady that's eating, I don't know, 1,200 calories a day, and their TDE is 2,000 calories a day, if we can push that up to 2,400 or 2,600, and they're still not gaining weight, that means once their body's working with them, we can bring them into weight loss at what? 1,800 calories, 2,000 calories. And then life's easy, because now you can go out and have wine with your partner, ice cream with your kids, snack in the break room, and still be successful.
This is music to my ears. And this is music to my ears because you're 100% right. Most coaches do not know. And I don't like to talk bad about my industry, but I work with certain people for a reason. And one of my areas of expertise is metabolic flexibility. And when your metabolism is flexible, the number of calories you eat doesn't matter as much, because yes, you don't want to overeat and you don't need to overeat, but your body needs to have the mechanism to digest and break down the food that you're eating and use it accordingly. So let's say you eat your expenditure is 2,000. You should not eat more than 2,000 calories, right? And then you stay on the 2,000, but all you're eating are carbs. Then that's still a problem for your body. Or even if all you're eating is protein, which would never be the case, but that's still too much for your body. But if your body's in a point where it can use the protein appropriately, it can use the carbs appropriately, it can use the fat appropriately, then your metabolism become flexible. Then you don't have to worry too much about, oh, I'm under calories today, I'm over calories. And on top of that, your body will tell you when you need to stop. Because when I work with clients, honestly, I don't use calculators. I judge my clients based on, I look at where they are, what they've been eating in the past, and I start to change their diet now, and I see how their bodies respond to it. And I've had people say to me within a couple of weeks, I'm eating 3 meals a day. I've never eaten 3 meals a day. Right. And then I'll slowly push it based on and then as they're getting more hungry, I change their diets around, and they're like, I'm eating more and I'm losing weight. This doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, it actually does, if you understand the human body. Because remember, a lot of trainers don't really get that in-depth nutrition training that I may have or you may have, which, and also on top of that, the experience, which is what makes you unique in the field. So I think you're going to say something, Joe.
I just couldn't agree more with the experience part. Like, obviously, every coach that you work with, I would hope, has the intention of wanting to change their client's life in a positive way. But intention is not the only thing. Like, man, I have a feeling you've been around the block for a long time. And so you've seen a lot of things, and you've been able to learn from those and get better every time and every rep. And like, at some point, education is great, but experience is what's going to get somebody to ultimately be successful lifelong.
100%, man. 100%. And with that being said, I have this blockbuster guy on the show, but I got to take a quick break because, your boy got to pay bills around here. So I got to talk to you about one of my favorite companies, and I got to talk to you about the Amino Code, because they make one of my favorite products, which is Perform, right? Because their products is 100% science-backed, built on amino acid technology that was first funded by NASA and further refined through rigorous research, right? And clinical trials. So Perform is an EAA, essential amino acid-based formulation that's first designed to improve muscle performance during exercise, improve mental clarity, and your boy can definitely use some improvement in mental clarity, concentration, reduce fatigue and dehydration, and minimize recovery times. Now, what makes this formula so amazing? Well, again, I have all this experience and I've been using it for so many years. But first of all, it's not just branch chain. It's essential EAA formulation. 2, it has creatine. Now, let me tell you something. If you put a gun to my head and tell me, pick only one supplement to take the rest of your life, is going to be creatine. Okay, let me tell you that. It's been around forever. Everybody's using it forever. A lot of people separate it. I like that the formulation specifically designed with the right amount together is amazing. And because of that specific blend that it has, it doesn't need 300 and 400 milligrams of caffeine. Caffeine is not bad, but we don't want to overuse it either. I believe each serving is about 60 to 65 milligrams of caffeine. I double up on it because, when your boy trained, I go hard in the paint. But, you don't need as much, and you still get that amazing feeling, even beyond that feeling you would get when you use that much caffeine. It's an amazing formulation. I usually drink it before my workout, or I would drink it during my workout and it helps me to bang through. I absolutely love this product. The ingredients it perform has been compared. There has been a clinical trial that was done on Perform, and they found 20% increase in exercise completed, 22% increase in endurance, 11% increase in peak performance during exercise, and 10% improvement in cognitive function during exercise. Let me tell you, caffeine alone cannot do that for you. It's the right formulation together. It's absolutely amazing. And the flavors, I love it. They even have some all natural flavors. And of course, that's the one that I'm going to recommend first, because those are the ones that I love. But on top of being great, if you go to the website, aminoco.com/ZecoHealth, you get 30% off, 30% off all their fantastic products. And of course, the link to the website is going to be in the description of the podcast. So you can click on there and see this beautiful face smiling at you and save 30% off these fantastic products. Now back to the show. Let's back to Joe, because he's giving us some wonderful information here, and I really want to hone in on this. So let's talk about misconceptions, right? So what are some common misconceptions with women with weight loss and in this stage in their life? And what are some ways you can think that we can address these?
Yeah. So, I think we just addressed one of them, which is massively under eating, right? Understanding that eating 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 calories is the key when really it's not. Another misconception is going to be, what's the right type of exercise for fat loss? A lot of people think it's going to be cardio. I think you and me are both going to argue, hey, we need to be in the gym lifting weights, even as a woman 40, 50, 60 and older, because we understand osteopenia is a real thing. Osteoporosis is even scarier. Your muscle mass is getting lost year after year after the age of 40. And the only way to combat those things is through strength training. Plus, when you're in a weight loss phase, that's what's going to signal to your body that you're going to keep muscle and you're going to lose fat. And then lastly, this is kind of like a halfway agree, disagree thing. But a lot of ladies that we work with are telling me, Joe, I really think that it's my hormones to blame, my cortisol to blame, my stress to blame. And while that may be true, I'm not going to say it's not. You're never going to know unless you have these foundational things in place, such as nutrition, exercise, recovery, sleep. And then if things still aren't working, then we can dive into the more complicated protocols.
And you know what you just said, I think altogether kind of can also lead to the more complicated part, because I do agree that your hormones are to play, not to blame, but to play a part. I do believe your neurotransmitter is supposed to play a part. But the thing is, our lifestyle changes, epigenetics. We have enough science now to know that over 90 to 95% that impacts our health and weight loss, or let's say weight management, comes down to epigenetics, which is, like you just mentioned it, sleep, diet, our lifestyle things, even something as simple as lowering your stress level, epigenetics, right? Because cortisol doesn't just get up and say, I'm going to go play today. It's because of how stressful your life is. And you can't avoid stress. Stress is a part of life, but how you deal with stress helps you to decide whether or not your cortisol levels are high. Getting quality sleep. If you don't sleep well, you're going to naturally have high cortisol levels, right? Which leads to your body holding on to body fat. So our lifestyle changes are the things that we need to focus on, not blame our hormones, because I think in today's time, we see so much now. People say hormones and stress and this and that and that and that, but we don't really fully understand, or they may not even understand what's actually happening. So when you work with a coach like Joe, who understands that these all play a part and how to put it together and have all this experience, then he can put you on the right track for it to be not just a weight loss gimmick, but a lifelong change that can really impact your health and your life. And with that being said, Joe, thank you for everything, man. That's amazing. So now this is your time for your shameless plug. Let my audience know how they can get in touch with you. They want to reach out to you, so on and so forth. This is your time, my man.
I love it. I want to spend this time, number one, just to thank you for not just having me on the show, but for having the show as a whole. Because the more that people like you and me can preach the right message rather than that starvation message, the better this world is going to be, the healthier we're going to be. So thank you for that. Number two, I didn't even run it by you. You can shut me down if you want. But if anybody's listened to this and they've resonated with what I said and Zeco with what you said, I would love to give one listener the opportunity to work with us for free for 3 months. If that's cool with you, let me know and I'll kind of share how I see this happening.
Perfect. And how can they do so, by the way? Is there a website? Is there?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll send you a link. We'll put it in the show notes. It's going to be to a form to fill out, and we'll need 3 or 4 things. So we'll need the person's name, their phone number, their email. That's how we're going to contact you if you're the winner. And then lastly, enter in why you think you should be the winner and what you want to accomplish and why you haven't accomplished it yet. That why is how we're going to pick the winner. Once you're in, there's nothing we're going to sell you. We're not selling you supplements. We're not selling you any crap. We're just trying to change your life. Aside from that, everybody, I'm pretty searchable. You can find me just by searching Joe Hoye or Hoye Fit on Facebook, Instagram, or any form of social media.
Perfect. And one more question, because we've been saying midlife. So what age range are we thinking about here?
Yeah, so generally we work with women 40, 50, 60 plus. I actually get really excited when we have a listener that's 30, 35, getting closer to 40. And they're like, wow, you know what? I don't want to go through the things that Joe is talking about. I'd rather be proactive and fix it now. And so if we do have a younger listener, this is also for you. And you are going to thank yourself later for doing something now.
Perfect. So the link will definitely be in the show notes. The show notes are going to be zecohealth.com/Joe Hoye, because you know I'm not that creative, so that's going to be it. But the link will be in the description of the podcast. So you can click on there to get to the show notes. And from the show notes, you'll be able to get to the challenge. So Joe, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You know, I bring on the best of the best because I want you to change your life. So fam, go out there, conquer the world.